where does animal ag factor in here?
There's some really good science now around how agriculture has grown across the globe, and it started in the Middle East and it spread. The north of Africa, what is now the Sahara Desert, was at one time savanna and woodland and rainforest. It had big rivers running through it, big lakes. Um, we got in there. This is the Egyptians, this is way back. We got in there and started clearing the forest, making way for agriculture, for growing crops and grazing animals. And there was a little bit of climate change, weather patterns change in there as well. But the spread of agriculture across the globe, this is well studied now, the spread of agriculture equals the spread of desertification across the globe. So the Middle East now and the Northern Africa, what used to be, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the heart of civilization, used to be so incredibly productive, is now largely desert. And that's what we humans do. We go in and we do. In America, you had the Dust Bowls of the 1930s because too much clearing was done, stripping the land and changing the water patterns, this water circulation. So we humans turn forests into desert. That's what we do. So let me tell you a little bit about my experience. When I was working for government, it was my team's job. I had a science team. We worked to map all the deforestation across Queensland. Now, Queensland is one of the states of Australia. It's pretty big. It's about 3 times the size of Texas. But we used to crawl all over that each year and have huge databases with satellite imagery to map the deforestation. The area cleared in Australia is more than half of the area cleared in the Amazon. So we've got deforestation going crazy. The way they do it was invented in Australia. They have massive bulldozers, 50 to 100-ton bulldozers with a chain between them, and they drive forward, and with the chain just flattens. In fact, it rips the trees out of the ground. They call it tree pulling, and it was invented in Australia with great effect, and it's now used in South America. It's now used in America. I've seen some pictures of chain pulling in Florida, in fact. So some video. So this method of chaining or pulling trees is incredibly effective. But let me tell you how it works. These bulldozers, they're huge, 100-ton bulldozers, and they go flat out with this chain between them. So you've got the roar of the diesel engines, you've got the trees cracking and crashing and thudding down to the ground. You've got all the wildlife going crazy. That the bird life in Australia is we have these birds called corellas and galahs and cockatoos, and they have a shriek that is so piercing it goes straight through you. But all of these birds in big flocks are losing their homes. So they carry on and it goes straight through you. The noise is just totally frightening. And of course, any other animals that live there, which is all the koalas, all of the ground living animals. Let me tell you why deforestation is so destructive. It comes back to food. In nature, uh, animals are territorial, and that territory is their sustenance, their food. That's what provides for them and their family, and they're, feeding the kids. So if you take away that habitat, you take away their food. And birds can move somewhat, but most animals can't relocate. So those animals die. And this is the reason why um, we're in the midst of the sixth great extinction right now, because when you lose habitat, you lose animals. If you look at the number of mammals on Earth, the weight of the mammals, this is from mice up to elephants and whales. If you look, including us, and if you look at the weight of that, of all the mammals on Earth right now, just 4% is wildlife. This is all the elephants, the giraffes, the hippo, all of those wild mammals. Humans make up 30 something percent, but the biggest part of that, 60%, is the food, the animals we keep for food. So we have squeezed out nature. Nature is in this tiny little corner, 4% of the mammals left on Earth. We've squeezed out nature, and because of that, they've lost their homes. They're totally stressed. The ones that still have a home, it's been reduced, and because of that, their viral load goes through the roof, and therefore, when we contact them, we kept the diseases. So zoonotic diseases, the diseases that come from animals, 3/4 of all infectious disease is zoonotic. It comes from animals. And we've just had COVID, so we know what it's like. But it's also the swine flu, the bird flu, and we keep these factory farms, which are perfect incubators for these diseases. So this is why we've got to totally rethink how we feed ourselves on planet Earth,
Okay,
because
that was my question because we need to eat. As a lot of listeners and viewers know, I am very concerned about the number of people on the planet and believe that 8 billion where we are now, the 10 billion we're going to reach is way too much. And we need to lower our fertility rates all over the world, especially in countries like yours and mine, which are so highly consuming. But we do need to eat. And so are you talking about animal agriculture specifically, or are you talking about all kinds of agriculture?
it's all kinds, but the bulk of agriculture is the wasteful part of agriculture is animal agriculture. There was a United Nations report came out over a decade ago called Livestock's Long Shadow, and in that report they found that if we did not have animals to feed, which we then eat, if we just ate plants, we would have a 50% surplus of food. So we have a population problem, yes, but it's not people, it's animals.
Explain that because people don't understand
Mm,
that stat that you just said. Why would we have a surplus of food if we stopped
sure.
raising livestock?
Yeah, okay. Well, and this is really interesting. I mean, we take it for granted. We see the wonderful images of cows grazing in a paddock or chickens, in a field or pigs, and we think this is wonderful. This is natural. This is all good, and we've always eaten them, so this is fine. So if you sit down to eat a bowl of chicken, you are incredibly wasteful.